Hi guys, it's Janet. I have Joel Lockhart with me with the Houston Dynamo. First question to you. Seems like weekly now we are getting new videos of police brutality. What are your thoughts and feelings whenever these new videos come up?
A piece of me is still shocked and concerned at it, and then there's a small part of me that's not. It's almost not surprised. Like you saying, each week something new comes out, and it makes you. Part of me makes it thinks, am I next? It seems like they don't care. It seems like it's the smallest thing that will result in you being beaten or you being shot, you being killed. You following any of those steps, you're shocked and you're frustrated, and I get furious at it, but then there's a part of me that's like, when is it going to change? And you see everything surrounding that and the coverage that it gets and the people not condemning those incidents and condemning those involved in those actions. And it kind of disheartens you in a little bit because, the people that are in charge and the people holding people accountable aren't going to do anything. So you get more furious at that. So it's a kind of a roller coaster. You go through, you're upset, you're frustrated, you're mad, you're shocked, and then it's okay, what's going to happen? And you see who's behind it, and you're just more upset at that, and you become infuriated again, and it's just a kind of a never-ending cycle of it, because the next week there's potential for another video. You start to see another tweet that says, oh no, did you see that video? Or like the latest one was, I'm not watching that video, and that was a guy I follow, and I was like, it's got to be something. And as soon as you see the start of it, as soon as you see African-American male walking towards his car, 3 police officers behind him, you know what it is. And it doesn't, you think of the next one, whatever the next one's going to come up, you're going to see that same situation, outnumbered or whatever it may be. And you're not going to think it changes. You're not going to think, oh, this one may be different. You see it and you're like, he's going to lose his life, or he's paralyzed. He still has his life, thankfully, but he's going to be paralyzed. His life is going to be negatively affected. And then the downfall is you start to bring up records, and he did this and he did that. And it's, you forget that he's a human being. And you think, okay, me as a Black male, if that's happening to me, am I going to be treated as a human being? You see the threat of it, and you're not. And each day I try and do what I can do to not have the crumbs or whatever it may be, the trail of anything that they could potentially say that, oh, but he did this, oh, this warranted him being shot, oh, this warranted him being killed. No, he's a human being, and you shot him and you killed him for no reason. And so it makes you sad, and it frustrates you, and it's all of those kind of wrapped up in one, and it's hard to deal with sometimes, and you see it week to week, and it becomes more of a regular incident, but it never becomes easier.
So with all these emotions, what sort of coping skills are you utilizing to deal with these emotions?
I probably could be better in speaking to people and voicing how I feel, or maybe picking up golf or something like that. But I think I've always been a big soccer fan, and now that even from the killing of George Floyd to now, there's been a lot of soccer on TV. So despite me working with soccer every day and seeing soccer every day, that's still sort of my escape. Is okay, there's a game going on, and it's empowering, because you see them come out with Black Lives Matter t-shirts on. I have one on right now. You see them come out with Black Lives Matter t-shirts, and they're taking a knee before games, and it wasn't just in America. You see it in England, you see it in European competition. So it still had a little bit of emotion to it, and it still kind of gripped me a little bit, but it was also my escape of, I can yell at the TV, and it's not because anybody's Black or being assaulted or being harassed. It's a game. It's a soccer game, and it gets a little bit of an escape. I think it helps me cope, because you see now in the social media age that more people are more upset about. after George Floyd's killing, there was a march in Houston, and we saw players from our women's team, and we saw big voices speak up. So that's almost a little bit of a coping thing with me, that I'm not alone in these feelings, and I'm not alone in being upset and being frustrated and being mad at everything that's going on. So that's, though I'm not really doing anything and I'm not out there, it's a little bit of an escape, because you see it and you can put a little bit of your soul and a little bit of your power in it, and you're like, yes, that's what it needs, that's what it takes, that's what has to happen. So been trying to do that, and then just vocalizing it a little bit more. It's I'm in a kind of a unique situation. I take it with, I work with youth athletes. So me, years ago, I'm in the same age frame as these guys, and they're seeing it too, but also being a resource. And again, I'm still young and I haven't seen everything, but trying to be a resource, or just being somebody that they can talk to, and we can engage in a conversation and tell them, yes, I have an idea of how you're feeling. You can keep expressing yourself, keep saying whatever you need to say, get it off, whatever you need to say. But that's coping for me, is being able to have that conversation and have that dialogue, and getting out and expressing my feelings, as well as receiving, and then it becomes a back and forth, and we can kind of come to common ground on how we're feeling, how it's affecting us, and not bottling it up, because that's something I've done for years now, and it took till the killing of George Floyd for me to really open up and come to terms with it, of what is happening, and not trying to escape, and not trying to put myself in a corner and say, yeah, it is affecting me, but no, it's not. It's helped me open up, and it's helped me have conversations with people who aren't Black, or people who aren't brown. I'm able to have those conversations, and in a sense educate those people on how I'm feeling, because I think for a long time now, I've put myself in a corner that it doesn't affect me, and it does. And by doing that, people who I'm close with and people who are around me see that, and they're like, oh, well, Joel's okay. He hasn't really said anything. He's not really doing anything. But again, there's a fire inside of me, and it's just burning. And so now being able to speak on it without feeling bad, or not feeling like I'm becoming a pain with it, or it's a nuisance, in that, oh, why is it always a Black thing? And it's like, this is a Black thing. This is totally a Black thing. Like Black, brown, LGBTQ, everybody who's involved from a human rights issue. It's not to say it's not acceptable, but it's acceptable to come out, and I feel more acceptable in coming out. So I've come to terms with that, and that helps me cope with that, and being able to express myself more, to not just myself or to my phone or whatever it may be. I'm able to express myself to others, so they can get a feeling of what I'm feeling.
So what do you say to people who are critical of pro sports, like you say, soccer's doing it, European soccer's doing it, where they're putting social justice on such a forefront in pro sports, and a lot of people are saying they're going to boycott the sport or the league, or not watch it anymore? Like, what do you say to those that are critical of that?
They can not watch. It's that you aren't needed. You aren't any sort of the core of what makes the sport, what makes the population, what makes humans. At the end of the day, we're all humans. The humans playing soccer, humans playing baseball, humans playing basketball, and they're all different shades. I think I'm biased to soccer, but I think soccer definitely shows that, because you can look at a starting lineup, and it's every colored person under the sun, every nationality under the sun out of the 22 players on the field. So those people are needed. If you're going to be critical that you can just ignore human rights issues, and ignore social justice issues, and ignore basic human rights in protest of a game that involves the people that you are ignoring, there's something wrong with you. There's not something wrong with the sport. There's not something wrong with the organizations that are in those sports. There's nothing wrong with anybody that's allowing this and supporting this. There's nothing, you as a fan who have these hateful views, or have these negative views, or whatever you want to call it, that's your problem, and you need to be educated. You need to work on it. Yes, take away time from watching. You can go read a book. You can go listen to a podcast. Netflix has every documentary under the sun at this point, and it gives you a Black rights category. So boycott the sport, but don't boycott the sport and not do anything to understand it. Don't do it and not do anything to even sort of come to terms with why these people are doing these things. Starts Colin Kaepernick, and he's kneeling, and you have such an issue with him kneeling that you completely disregard why. You completely disregard that he spoke to a former, I believe he was maybe in the Army, former soldier that said, if you're going to protest and you want to do it this way, kneeling is okay. And again, that may be, correct me if I'm wrong with that, but
and that's how he got the idea. He got it from a former soldier. He got the idea from a former soldier.
Exactly. And people, people want to put this label and this tag on patriots and patriotism and these words and label it to the armed forces. And again, thank the armed forces for everything. But if he went out of his way to ask somebody who gave him that idea, and he's been the person that we put up to say, look, they fight for America, they have America's values at hand, that these are the guys. Where's the block in there? Where doesn't it match up? Like if he did that, what's the big issue? And it's not the issue with the flag. I think it's more of an issue of what he looks like and why you need to be grateful. And you're playing this game. You need to be grateful. I bought my ticket to go watch you play, and how dare you kneel? Don't buy your ticket. Go read a book. Go listen to an interview. Go listen to a podcast. Go do something that'll help educate you to come to an idea and think of why he's doing this. And it's not just him. We've seen a number of people across different sports. The recent boycotts and strikes of the games across the NBA and MLS and NHL did it at a point, and WNBA, who's leading the charge almost, and I don't think they get enough credit in it, that they're almost leading the charge, and they do it a step better almost. They do it a step ahead and a little bit better than some of the other leagues. But why don't you have to educate yourself. You can't be in these hateful and negative and terrible ways and be upset that these people who now have a platform are using that platform. And, it's the whole shut up and dribble thing. And it's like, okay, would you rather them just make $100 million a year and do absolutely nothing for anybody else but themselves? Because then they're selfish. Or would you rather them make $100 million a year and speak up for somebody who looks like them, a kid who's come from the same disadvantaged place as him, a female or a male who's going through some sort of sexual orientation, issue with them, and them stand for something, and probably putting a significant amount of that $100 million towards something? What would you rather? And it's like, oh, well, I don't want to be selfish, but you don't want them to look out for human rights? Come on. Pick, what are you going to do? You can't choose no. So those people, don't watch it. Don't watch it. But if you're not, don't watch it, but educate yourself. Don't just not watch because you don't like what you see and you don't know. You need to not watch or boycott or do whatever and put yourself in a situation to understand that.
So speaking of flags, I'm born and raised San Francisco, and then at 26, I moved to Louisiana in a small town too. So the Confederate flag had a meaning for me. You growing up around it, how do you view the Confederate flag?
It's a shame. I think it's the kind of one word that comes to mind. It's a shame that people support and proudly wave this flag that means something so negative, and that holds so much negativity and so much hate, and put it on values and put it on heritage and anything like that. You look at it and I just laugh. I see him living in Houston now. You see him not as regularly, but you see him and you just laugh because they've missed years of education. They've missed years of good that people that they hate, and they attribute that hate to that flag, that they connect that to. They've missed it. They've missed the bus on catching up to current times and accepting people who don't look like them who don't think like them, who don't like the people that they like or marry the people that they like. They've missed it. And you're ashamed that, and you feel sorry for them, and you're ashamed that they still hold on to this 200 years later, 150 years later, after this whole war was done. And what does it do for you? It's I don't take it personally anymore. I don't even, it's similar to the MAGA hat. It's you see somebody with a Confederate flag T-shirt on, or a MAGA hat, and you just shake your head. You just laugh, because it's not even worth engaging with people who support that, and engaging with people who proudly tote that. Because for me, I attach that to hate. I attach that to negativity. I attach that to the killing of Black people, innocent Black people. I attach that to the Latin community, and wanting to build a wall, and immigration and all that. And it does, none of that is good. None of that gets us to where we are right now in this country. There's been so much good, and so much positivity from those parties that they root against, and that they hate, and that they talk negatively against. And you feel sorry for them, because it's like, if you could put that flag down, that, in my opinion, means absolutely nothing, because it's a symbol of hate. We defeated you. The flag that we fly, and we don't want people kneeling in front of, they defeated that. But you're still waving the defeated flag. So in a sense, are you a loser? I'm not gonna call you a loser, but what are we doing? What's your real reasoning behind it? So it's just a shame, and you laugh, because you're not gonna get anything out of it. For me, I'm not gonna engage with these people. I'm not gonna, because it's almost like you see it, and it's almost like they want you to say something. It's almost like you're picking a fight. Like, just say something about the flag. Say something about my hat. Say something about my T-shirt with Confederate flag on it. And you already know, at least for me, you already know it's going to be some negativity. And as much negativity is in the world right now, I'm trying to remove myself from any negativity, and it's not worth that. And they're so deep into it that you're not going to get anything from them. And so it's a shame that you still believe in this, and you still promote this, and there's so much negativity connected to it.
On the same wavelength, about Confederate flag and MAGA hats, have you ever been in a situation where you had to kind of brace yourself for discrimination to happen, or stereotyping to happen?
Yeah, so this was a couple of years ago, 6-7 years ago. I was on a vacation with some close friends and their families, and kind of connected families in Arkansas. We were not near a big city in Arkansas. So being kind of how I grew up in schools I went to and groups I hung out with, I was usually the only Black person, and which was fine. And it was just kind of how I navigated life, and it ultimately has been fine. So we went, and we were canoeing one day, and I just happened to be the last person in our party, and there was maybe 20 of us in the party. And we can kind of see as you come to the mouth, and like an opening from, I guess, kind of a rockier area and a little bit faster water area. There's a group of guys, and maybe 5 or 6 guys. And as each person goes through, they're splashing water on them. They're saying things to them. Nothing really, I don't think they were cursing. It wasn't anything, too bad, but it's like, okay, and you can see a beer can. It's like, okay, this is going to be an issue. And me being Black, I knew this was in Arkansas. This was going to be a little bit more of an issue than those that were in front of me. So my flip-flop falls off in the water, and it gets down to one of the guys. And immediately I know I have to have a conversation with these people. At some point I have to engage these people to get my flip-flop back. So he grabs my flip-flop, and he stops me, and he asks me, what are you doing here? And I knew exactly what that question was. Is, you're Black, why are you up here? And I said, I'm just out here kayaking, canoeing, whatever we're doing, with some friends and their families, and just kind of hanging out. And he's like, well, you're the only one here. And I knew exactly what that meant. You're the only Black person within probably a 200-mile radius. So I said, yeah, I've seen that. Just getting a lay of the land, I know that. And he kind of looked, and he said, all right. And he gave me my flip-flop, and they splashed me with water, and they pushed me on like they did with everybody else. But I knew in that particular situation that any wrong comment, anything I say, anything I do could have been kind of disastrous. I think had I not been 10 feet behind, I think had I been 20, 30, 40 feet behind, it would have potentially become that, because I truly would have been alone. And the family I was with, I love them to death, and I know they would have had my back. I just know in this situation, it wasn't going to be the greatest situation had something gone south. So that was like kind of the big one, and one of the first real ones where I was an adult, and not with my mom or my dad or anybody like that, and not with anybody else, black, to really get it and be like, okay, there's a this is a wrong situation, just how they came at it. But it's, I have two, kind of, Joel, you have two ways. You could be negative and you can be kind of brash about it, and it can go downhill, or you brace yourself, just like you're saying, you brace yourself for what can come, and you try and handle that situation as best as you can to avoid any trouble with that. So that was one of the big ones. And I think now so not so much in Houston, but previous place I lived, Midwest, wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt, or wearing even a something supporting LGBTQT, anything like that, you're almost looked at twice. One off because you're wearing that shirt, and secondly because likely their views don't match up with your views, and they're waiting to say something. So I do brace a little bit as I walk around with a Black Lives Matter shirt, or a rainbow shirt, or anything like that, just because I know I'm in an area that potentially could get a little hostile. But now with the platforms that we have, and seeing all the support, you're almost ready for it, because I've been educated. I have everything I need to prove you wrong and to make you seem like the ugly person that you likely are.
So to bring it back to a lighter topic, so I met Joel many years ago at Southeastern. He was a junior student with dreams of working with Major League Soccer, and here you are. So looking back on your journey thus far, what are your feelings from Southeastern to where you are now?
I think it's been great. Honestly, it's been, you have your ups and downs, but I've been fortunate to think that all of the steps I've taken have put me in the right direction. I've kind of set myself up for success. But it's been great, and everybody that's been around me and helped mold me into the person I am and the athletic trainer that I am today. I think so much, because from Southeastern, and knowing you, Janet, and other preceptors I had, Jihan was big, and so it's people like that you never forget, that they teach you the hard lessons. They don't baby you. They don't just say, oh, it'll be all right. Oh, you'll get there. It'll be, they give you the hard lesson. But it also is one of those things where, at least for me, it's a little bit harder, because I did have this, and I still do have this lofty goal of making it to the professional soccer setting. And you look at the professional soccer setting, and even some sense pro sports, and there's not a lot of Black and brown athletic trainers in that setting. So I think, for me, more so, it's trying to be one of those that are in that as well. So that's already an exclusive category in itself, just to be in a professional setting. But it's even more exclusive when somebody of color is in that setting. So I think those hard lessons that I did learn through Janet and Gian, and through Illinois State and Indiana, and into now, have molded me very, very well for that. It's put me in contact with the right people that are gonna be honest with you, but also gonna set you up for success, and put you in contact with the people that will set you up for success, or gonna help getting you where you need to be. You learn a lot. You live in a couple of different states. You experience new surroundings. You experience new settings, and I think that's a piece that I've really enjoyed, is sharing my experiences, and then also sharing the experiences of others, because you're going to learn from people, and not just athletic training, not just how to evaluate a knee or how to rehab a hamstring. You're gonna learn from people just in conversations of random things. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Looking at you, I wouldn't have thought that. Or where you're from, I wouldn't have thought that. Like, I like Coldplay. You wouldn't think potentially somebody would like from New Orleans would like Coldplay, but I do. So it's little things like that where it's like, oh, okay, that, you know, it keeps things exciting. It keeps things fresh. So it's been, for a big word, glorious. It's been a glorious journey. It's not over yet. It's not anywhere close to over yet, and I'm not where I want to be yet. I've set myself up to get where I want to be, and so I'm very glad for that. But I'm excited for the future, because now it's put me in contact with you again to help out with diversity initiatives and trying to be a voice for players that, you know, I was in their shoes years ago, and giving them somebody to speak to, or somebody who's shared experiences that they've had, or somebody that looks like them in a leadership or an authoritative role, and they feel comfortable with that. So, you know, I want to, in this journey, I want to look back and be able to look back at certain areas where I can help future people that look like me, or from where I'm from, or have the same sort of goals, or want the same experiences that I potentially had. And I want to be able to give back, and not be selfish in myself, and I made it, and then I made it, and then not looking back and helping anybody else, or at least trying to be some sort of a guide, or some sort of a mentor for those that want to follow. Sound cheesy, but following my footsteps, which everybody has their own path, but, you know, have maybe a similar end goal that I had. So it's been good.
So Joel, next couple minutes off for you, your final statement.
Yeah, I thank you, Janet. I think it's important to advocate for your students, and advocate for your athletes, for your athletic training students that come into similar situations and are with you a lot of the time. I know in the past couple of months, it's taken me for the killing of George Floyd and the latest killing to really come out and be vocal and say things that I'm not comfortable with, or I'm upset. You know, it's something as simple as that I'm not right. And I think it's been huge in the situation that I'm in, kind of going off your last question of where I am now with the Houston Dynamo, and seeing kind of firsthand what the MLS is doing with the Black Players Coalition, and seeing the efforts that they're making to, you know, the Black Lives Matter t-shirts, creating a coalition in the first place. That, you know, that's huge in a sport where as many Black players as you see, they're still somewhat the minority. And so seeing the platform that they have, and the issues that they're bringing to light, and the initiatives they want to push and go forward with, it empowers me a little bit, because, you know, I'm not a player, so I'm not of the most importance to anybody, but it makes me want to do what they do, and it makes me want to say, hey, if they're doing it, I can kind of stand on their shoulders and push something maybe a little bit smaller for my particular role with the academy, or just as the academy athletic trainer, you know, try and do something off of them. So it's empowering to do that. And so I pass that on to my players. So I think that's one is, you know, my goal, help mentor and help shape the next crew that comes in, black, white, brown, purple, anybody, help shape those crew and make them feel like they have a voice, and support that voice that they have.
Joel, thank you so much for doing this, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.